Hello and welcome to Back of the Net, the AFC Bournemouth fan channel. My name is Sam Davis. This weekend, it's all about the FA Cup for us as we entertain Boreham Wood in the fourth round. At the end of the show, you can find out exactly how you can get involved in chatting cherries this weekend as Boscombe aim to progress to round 5. But in terms of the match, we should take nothing for granted. Boreham Wood, they're sitting pretty in the National League, win their game in hand, and they're top of the division. Plus, they're up against a Bournemouth side that has lacked momentum in recent weeks. If you're a new viewer to the channel, why not take this opportunity to click the subscribe button and also give it a like? We would truly appreciate it as we cover this match this weekend with a match day vlog and also a free-for-all on Monday night for you to enjoy too. So, with the match being at Dean Court, you could say that there's a perceived advantage for the home side. But I'll tell you what, tell that to Newcastle fans who saw Cambridge walk away with a win on their own turf in the previous round. The magic of the FA Cup is still alive with results like that, and with Kidderminster also in the hat as well and playing in the fourth round. How exciting it is to see the smaller clubs doing so well. This match is going to be live on ITV4 on Sunday night. So to chat about the preparation for such a game, plus his thoughts on the game itself, we have quite possibly the best football commentator on the planet. But it's not just football he can do.
Here's basil, now pepper, salt, garlic, tomato puree. Stop now. The vegetables. Wait a minute. No, we've got to check. I'm hearing possible stockpiling. How many onions are there in there?
No, we need them all.
You sure?
Definitely.
Check complete. Carry on. Oh, what a waste! What a waste!
So that was during lockdown there. Yes, you know the voice, but you probably know him best for these moments.
In towards Schmeichel. It's come for Dwight York. Cleared. Giggs with a shot. Sheringham! Name on the trophy. And on Sergio Ramos. It's a good cross. Gerrard! Irresistible Liverpool. Mata. Towards Trappers! What about that? Chelsea's man for the big occasion scores his biggest ever goal in what may be his last match for the club. Fancies his chances. Oh, brilliant goal! A brilliant goal! Remember the name, Wayne Rooney. It's Premiership history. The big league's youngest ever goal scorer signals his arrival on the big stage with a breathtaking goal to end Arsenal's unbeaten run surely in the final minute.
So we've got Clive Tyldesley here with us. Clive, how are you?
I'm absolutely fine. My mum lives in Bournemouth, by the way. I'm a regular visitor.
That's what I was about to say. You're a regular to the area because last time for ITV you were here, I think it was 2014, a loss against Liverpool in the FA Cup.
I recall that. I was just looking through my files of notes in preparation for Sunday's game. I actually covered Boreham Wood versus Brentford in the FA Cup at Boreham Wood in 2012. I think, and Luke Garrard, who is now the manager, was a player coach at the time, was injured for the game, funnily enough. But ITV have had the FA Cup contract on and off over the course of my career. Let's face it, Bournemouth in the FA Cup is not a great long story to tell. One or two heroics back in Harry Redknapp's day. But last season was about as good as it's ever got, I think, for the club, isn't it? So what with limited coverage of Premier League football, in my experience, I haven't actually been to. I'm glad you still call it Dean Court in your and your email to me. It'll always be Dean Court to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always of the Dean Court train of thought. And yeah, the last time you were here with ITV, we lost 2-0 on that day. And as you mentioned, as you alluded to, 2-0 was the scoreline for one of our most famous FA Cup moments, beating Manchester United. That was 1984. It was Milton Graham and Ian Thompson that scored the goals for the Cherries. And I think Cherries fans would be happy with that result on Sunday. We'd be equally happy with an 11-0 as we did against Margate when Ted McDougall scored 9. And funnily enough, actually mentioning those 3 names, we've chatted to all of them on previous videos on this channel, and they've expressed their joy at the magic of the FA Cup. And whilst some people think that the magic might be lost when the bigger team's at home, when it comes to these kind of upsets, it doesn't always work like that, does it?
It certainly doesn't. The magic of the FA Cup, I'm old enough to recall the days when the FA Cup final was perhaps the biggest game played on these shores, and maybe on television at any stage during the year. We had a kind of misty, romantic affiliation with the European Cup, what has become the Champions League, from afar. And certainly when Celtic won it and Manchester United won back in the 1960s, these were landmark moments in the development of British football. But FA Cup final day is a national event. I don't know how many of your viewers will be of an age to remember when both BBC and ITV came on the air at 10:30 in the morning.
Watching the teams have breakfast. Yeah.
Sort of gone past 6 o'clock. Now, the FA Cup in 2022 is it's a different animal. Like a lot of football institutions, it's had to find its place in the new order. Yeah. I do think the back in 1999, when Manchester United were given leave from the FA Cup, from defending the FA Cup, in order to concentrate on the World Club Championship, it did mark quite an important point in the way that the cup has evolved, and say it had to learn to live with its new status. And when I was allocated this cup tie a couple of weeks ago, one of the very first things I looked at was the week following the tie and what commitments the two teams had. And obviously, you've got a really, really big league game next Wednesday, and I don't think there's a single Cherries fan who would. I don't know what the lineup's going to be any more than you do at this stage. But we're not really expecting to see Solanke or Lerma or Billing or Travers, and I think we all kind of accept that now. Now, whether that has diminished the magic of the cup for the fans or not is a personal choice. There was quite a lot of excitement around the third round. There were some good stories in the third round, of which Boreham Wood have won, and they will be full strength or as close to full strength as they can be on Sunday. But then they'll probably only name 4 or 5 substitutes. That's the nature of the beast. They are quite close to the top of the National League in terms of points, but they are rock bottom in terms of attendances. You've had to learn to live with Premier League football on the gate receipts of 11,000, so you can probably identify with that to a degree. But they are punching above their weight, very much as Bournemouth have done regularly in the last decade or so. So there is a certain amount of romance comes with them, but this is not a team of butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers. This is I'm made some notes today, and one of the things I'm going to say quite early in the broadcast is I'm not going to use the phrase non-league very often. This is not a non-league team. And the National League this season is hugely competitive. There are some budgets in the National League that League One teams are envious of. There's a salary cap coming in next season, so there's a scramble to get out of that league. There are only 2 promotion places, and just for Boreham Wood to be in contention for one of those is quite something. So there is a romance around the tie, but it's I think, to answer your question in a long-winded way, it's up to you really as Bournemouth fans to say before kickoff whether you're happy for Scotty to go with a team which may show 8 or 9 changes from last weekend, and therefore happy to accept the outcome if it's not a good one.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And it does seem like the gap between League Two and the National League is closing. So you're right to not mention non-league too much. Whereas with maybe the Premier League and the Championship, it's getting bigger. There's certainly not much of a difference, I've got to say. So whether we'll see an upset or a cup set, as we like to call it, yet to be seen. But have you got a favourite FA Cup commentary where the underdog has actually won, one that sticks in your memory?
Well, I did commentate on Wigan Athletics' victory in the final. That may be the last great underdog cup final win. I mean, for all the compromises that the leading clubs make in team selections for FA Cup ties, you look at the list of winners in the last 20 years, and again, I'm of an age where I can remember the 1970s and early 80s when there was some FA Cup final stories which are told to this day, of Southampton and Sunderland and of Wimbledon, but. I mean, you'd only need. I'm not a betting man, but you'd have to look at the odds, and you won't find any mid-table Premier League clubs amongst the favourites. Most of the big clubs that can be still in. I mean, there was a heavyweight clash in the third round, are still in, and they'll probably find a way through to the latter stages again. And it's kind of a test for the commentator. What is a television commentator? We are kind of journalists, really. And I think there's always a perception that we're expected, particularly working maybe for a commercial network, to hype up the product. Well, you won't hear that from me on Sunday. I think it is, as I say, I think you have to be realistic about what we're watching here. And it still has it has a distinctive feel because of the knockout nature. And actually, I'm not, even though some of the finest FA Cup ties I've ever seen have been replays, without FA Cup replays, we would have never seen Ryan Giggs' goal against Arsenal. Do you know Ronnie Radford's famous goal was in a replay? Ricky Villa at Wembley is an FA Cup replay. But if we've seen the last ever FA Cup replay, and who knows, we may have done. I think ITV broadcast a game at Barrow before Christmas, which was a replay, and it wouldn't surprise or appall me if we never ever see an FA Cup replay again. I think in a way it just makes the competition as it is in the 21st century even more distinctive. I was reading today about the infamous Grimsby golden goal, which defeated the Cherries in their one and only Wembley occasion appearance.
Don't remind me. What a horrible day.
Bring the golden goal back, into. I think, without getting too gimmicky, I think the FA Cup does. It needs continual lift in order to fight back against the natural attrition of major clubs with other priorities. So, say without turning it into Ant versus Deck or anything, I'm not against. One or two kind of improvised additions to the FA Cup recipe. I remember when ITV won the contract probably about 15 years ago, and we sat down with the FA, and they actually asked for some new ideas. I'm talking out of school a little bit, and I was in the meeting, and I did have a couple of ideas, and it's funny, they were both sort of laughed out of court. I suggested that the draws, the televised live draws, should be conducted not in the way that they've always been conducted, but all the home teams should be drawn first. So halfway through the program, you still don't know any of the ties. But everybody who says we don't care as long as we're at home, at least halfway through the draw whether you're at home or away. No, I can't do that. It's true. Yeah. And then the other thing that I suggested, I mean, again, I don't know, forgive me if I'm sounding like I'm 400 years old. There was a day when at every Football League game, the away team ran out first on their own. Yeah. And got, the usual dogs abuse. Although in the FA Cup, you get 10% ticket allocation. So, at Old Trafford, that's whatever, 7,500 people or something. So they usually get big away followings at major cup ties. So I thought that was kind of quite. No, you can't do that. We've all got to come out and be friends and shake hands and have a mascot with them. Well, there you go. If you don't want to change the FA Cup, don't change it. But don't ask me for any ideas.
That's really interesting. I mean, because they obviously the golden goal, which you painfully reminded me of. Wayne Burnett it was that scored the winner, 1998 that was. And I think after that they came to the compromise with a silver goal that didn't last too long, which was in the first half of
I commentated on a few Euro Championship games like that. Yeah.
And then, the penalty shootouts changing to the ABBA method and all sorts of things that just haven't really stuck. One thing about the beauty of the FA Cup, I think, is just the range of grounds you come to, the randomness of the ties you have. And, some grounds, I'm sure you'll admit, are poorer than others. Now, back in 1997, I remember this match. Sky Sports had the contract for the FA Cup, and Alan Parry was commentating for Sky. And at the time, we were in our stadium before it was redeveloped, and it was the news stand, which you can see on screen there, and the gantry where Alan had to stand, which was on top of the stand in that green, horrible netting. The weather was awful. Yeah, the weather was awful. You had to climb up a ladder, and the conditions that day were absolutely atrocious. You're in the relative dry and luxury on Sunday, but there must be some terrible places that you've commentated at.
I can remember Dean Court when it was three-sided. I'm not imagining that. That was later, wasn't it? That was when they turned the pitch around.
That's right. Yeah, it was.
Early 21st century. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. 2001 it opened. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was three-sided. There was an end behind the goal that was open, wasn't it, for years, I think, wasn't there?
Yeah, it was a car park, and then there was a sandbank there and hoardings. But now, finally, we've got a temporary stand there. We're still not quite there, but we've got something.
And there's always been discussion of moving into the park next door, hasn't there? Are they ongoing, or is that sort of gone quiet now?
It's faded away somewhat because under Eddie Howe's tenure, we bought some land a few miles away near a pool, actually, for a big training facility that would be rivaling Southampton's. And that's been part developed. The land has been cleared for it. The groundworks have been done, but nothing more than that. And it was always his priority to get that sorted. And then hopefully the new stadium, which they mooted to be on the fields at Kings Park, just adjacent to where we are now. But,
I know it well.
But obviously, being relegated from the Premier League and also with the pandemic as well, it just means everything is in limbo. Maybe if we're promoted this season, it could be better. But in terms of where you've commentated and what have been the most challenging environments, name a ground. Go on.
Well, when people always say, what's your favourite football stadium? I always say, well, I rate them by commentary position. Sorry, nothing to do with atmosphere or the architecture. It's whether we can see or not. And there are some no excuse commentary positions in the Premier League. But even in the second round of this season's competition at Salford City, which is, quite a wealthy club certainly by League Two standards, probably the wealthiest club in League Two. But you are sharing a bird's nest with two cameras, and as the cameras swing round, your view of the goal at one end is masked, and we do have a television monitor, which is very too close to us, really, in a cramped situation like that, and your head is going up and down between the pitch and the monitor because there are corners and parts of the ground that you can't see, and we've had the added delight of in the 21st century of apologizing every time any kind of profanity is picked up by the effects microphone in the first two rounds, which is a legal requirement. I'm not suddenly come over all Methodist. I think I did it about 7 times at Salford in the game against Chesterfield. And maybe I'm going deaf, but when I watch the recording back, as I always try to do, because that's how you learn as to whether or not I couldn't hear any of them. So there you go. Maybe we're becoming a little bit sensitive, but I'm mindful of a commentary position, and I'm name dropping now. I actually worked for the BBC at the 1994 World Cup, and my opening game was Cameroon versus Romania, and I actually went to the Cameroon training camp 2 days successively to try to familiarize myself with the look of the players. And I'm afraid a natural human failing that white Caucasian people have more trouble recognizing Black African people than we would a white Caucasian team. I believe it's the same is true in reverse. So I was struggling a little bit with these Cameroon players standing 12, 15 meters away from them. But when I actually got inside the stadium, which was at the LA Coliseum where they had the final out of the Pasadena, honestly, I might as well have been on the Goodyear blimp. I was so far away from the field. The players were just ants in the far distance. And I just allowed myself a little chuckle that having fretted over the identification of these players at a distance of 10 meters, I now felt I was like about 10 miles away. And I bet somehow you find a way, running styles, wristbands, hair colors, boot colors. You find a way to identify the players. It's just I've drawn up a kind of a rough starting Bournemouth squad, and I've got to research about. I mean, if the likes of Rossi and Mariah Welsh are involved again, then I'm picking from a pool of even with Cahill's suspension and a couple of injuries, there's a potential sort of 27, 28 players, which is a lot more research than I really need to be doing for a final team of 11.
That's it. I mean, I was about to, in terms of the commentary, the local commentator for BBC Radio Solent here, Chris Temple, who you probably won't be a million miles away from on Sunday, he always complains about striped shirts and sometimes the numbers on the back, and sometimes they don't make it clear enough. And
never complain. We've got a dream job. You must never complain.
No. Well, you know what? I've been scouting around your YouTube channel, and look, I mean, some of your notes, unbelievable. This has been taken from one of your videos, the 2004 League Cup final here, and your notes, it's fair to say, are meticulous for a game like this. When ITV gave you the call and said, can you do Bournemouth v Boreham Wood? At what point are you starting to sort of delve into researching
There's the
stuff?
first thing that I did a couple of weeks ago. Can I show you that?
Yeah.
So that is what I call a results and appearance grid. Now, I keep them for Premier League clubs, but I don't keep them for Championship clubs. I've got Bournemouth from 2 years ago and 3 years ago and 4 years ago, but I've made this up specifically so that I'm across the names, the appearances, who's played, in what positions, how often, goals scored. And the process, I know it's all written. I know I could do that on a spreadsheet. Maybe, again, it's a side of my age. Maybe from my early schooling, I revised for exams by copying out. That's how it goes in this thick skull here. So I still keep. I'll prepare some of my notes on a Word and print them off on a Word document and print them off. But I'll have a couple of written team sheets, and then I'll just shade in yellow the starters before the game. It's not that the commentary charts that we now sell. The prints of them. We don't have a Bournemouth one yet. You're on our list. The weird thing is that I'm not sure what the iconic Bournemouth game of the last 20 years is. There are one or two clubs where a match stands out. We've just done Charlton Athletic and their famous playoff final when Mendonca scored the hat-trick. I mean, that's a no-brainer. You do that game, even though it was a while ago. But I'm not quite sure what the iconic Bournemouth game, maybe it's something you could take up. And if you can poll enough fans, then we'll create a Bournemouth chart going forward. Because while we started the enterprise with matches that I'd actually commentated on, we started to get requests, stroke demands from people. Wait a minute, where's our commentary chart? Well, I wasn't at that game. Doesn't matter. So I've actually retrospectively researched games and produced a commentary chart like that, which is very much in the style of the commentary charts that I will operate with on Sunday. Although on Sunday I'll probably have 6 or 7 different sheets of paper with that information spread across, which doesn't look so good in the downstairs loo. So we put it all on on sort of one A4, A3 chart for display. But it is in the same style. So, I mean, my preparations began when I was allocated the game, and you won't want to remember Bournemouth's last appearance on Sky, but at least it gave me a clear insight into the setup of the team and so on. And actually, Boreham Wood have appeared on a BT Sport game quite recently, so they've been helpful. And you can get videos now of just about every football match that's being played around the globe. So, in terms of identification and so on, I'm pretty much up to speed with these two teams, even though most of my work is now Premier League and Champions League.
I won't keep you too much longer, but in terms of iconic games, I'm just trying to think. Probably none during the Premier League era, but the match to get us there, I think, when you go on these websites that sell these printouts of like CFAX, where they do the page 302 football, and then it's got the score lines on. It's the Bournemouth v Bolton game that got us there, where we won 3-0. And loads of people have got mugs and all sorts of memorabilia, tea towels, the lot. So I'm sure that's one that a lot of Bournemouth fans will probably see.
Maybe a chart to follow. I was doing a bit of research. We mentioned the Harry's game against Manchester United. I think I came across a Bournemouth Giant killing where Eddie scored the winning goal. Was it? I'm not looking at my notes at the moment.
West Bromwich Albion at the old Dean Court. I think we won 1-0 or something. Yeah, but he did score the winner. I was there.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of FA Cup pedigree, and of course it's very easy to forget where Bournemouth were 10 years ago. And nearly we're never going to be another 10 years of Bournemouth and Boscombe Athletic, as I would always remember. I don't get AFC Bournemouth at all. Just get rid of that. What's all that?
It all came around when they did this new logo, and then they wanted it to be first in alphabetical order and all this kind of newfangled stuff. It's Bournemouth and Boscombe. We all still shout Boscombe. So one thing I was going to ask is, of course, outside the stadium, the majority of people that are going to be watching on ITV4, they're going to want an upset. So as a commentator, do you almost have to err on the side of the underdog somewhat, or do you stay neutral? I mean, surely when Bournemouth score, that the tone of your voice is going to be slightly different to if Boreham Wood score, right?
Not if you've been 2-0 down and get back to 3-2. No,
agreed.
My mentor, the late great Reg Guttridge, who took me under his wing a million years ago and taught me 99% of what I know about the job that I do. One of his recurring dictums was identify your audience and commentate to it. And in a sense, when England are playing, I mean, I commentated on the World Cup semi-final in 2018, which was 30 million people watching. And we're a very diverse nation, which is great. There would have been some Croatians watching, and there would have been quite a lot of Scots and Welsh and Irish who would not necessarily pulling for England. And in the modern world, maybe even some Chelsea and Liverpool and whatever fans who don't really like international football. But the vast majority of your audience are engaged with a football match in a way that they'll probably never be engaged. England in a World Cup semi-final. And so is it a crime to say we occasionally? I mean, as long as you're not blurting it out every step of the way, as long as you're still being objective, as long as you're prepared to say we are crap, if we are crap, then I think commentating to your audience is important. And I mean, the reason this tie has been chosen by ITV, and the selections have been quite interesting, really. ITV are a commercial enterprise who are looking for audiences. So they've gone with Manchester United tonight. They've gone with Liverpool at home because commercially they are 1 and 2 and 3 is nowhere in terms of attracting viewers, and possibly let Forest, Leicester and Kidderminster, West Ham slip through their grasp, which would appear to be the more appealing cup ties of the weekend. So it's almost ITV's offering to David and Goliath, if you like, that the final tie of the 16 is going to be this one. I'm a little. I listen. It's not my choice. As many people watching will know, ITV basically got rid of me 2 years ago, so I am now kind of working as a freelance. So I'm not speaking on behalf of ITV. But I think it's a shame that it's on ITV4. I mean, I think at that time of night, particularly I'm sure they could have got the kickoff at 5:30. I think it's a good ITV1 product. But there you go. ITV4 is fairly freely available to most people in the current era. So we'll see what the audience is. But yeah, I've got to commentate to the audience. And aside from Bournemouth fans who can't make it, and Boreham Wood's average attendance is under 900, so there aren't millions looking in cheering for them. It's the passing trade of somebody saying, "I wonder what this 5th division team are all about." And if they come up with a result on Sunday, then I guess it's a more appealing story than it puts out a team which wins 3-0 easing up.
I'm just hoping personally that there's going to be no iconic remember the name. Hello, here we go. No. Name on the trophy. None of that.
Really special moments. And of course, now you've got rid of Neeland, you're not even going to throw one in for us. So
no, exactly. Just a quick question: do you still get look? You've commentated on some of the largest games in world football: the World Cup finals, Champions League finals, FA Cup finals. Bournemouth v Boreham Wood in the 4th round. Do you still get the rush of adrenaline when they throw to you and you're live?
Yeah. I mean, this game will be more important to some viewers than any Champions League final. And they're the people you've got to. Well, I say they're the people you've got to commentate to. I think with a general audience, the further into the competition we go, the bigger the audience becomes, the more you maybe need to introduce even some of the Bournemouth names to that wider audience. I think you've got to be. I mean, somebody like Jamal Lowe wouldn't be a household name in most Premier League households, but he will catch the eye if he plays. I want to imagine he will. So the likes of Lowe and Anthony will hopefully have almost not quite the same luster of a non-league team, but interesting young players who a lot of the viewers won't know. And if they turn it on, as we know they can, then I mean it is a question of sort of easing people into the game and introducing them, one or two. Oddly, probably if he figures, Todd Canwell might be the most familiar face on the field to a lot of viewers. Even Nat Phillips, played enough for Liverpool last season to be somebody that people will be aware of. And then if we are assuming that Dom doesn't start, or obviously Gary Cahill's not going to play. So you are introducing players who are not the kind of household names we're going to see in the Manchester United lineup tonight and the Liverpool lineup in the cup tie before.
Well, I tell you what, on behalf of me and many football fans, I mean, it's nice to see the FA Cup all on terrestrial TV. Of course, BBC and BT Sport had it before, but with the way they do, I mean, they've done it with the Six Nations as well. They sort of clubbed together this
Absolutely.
time.
And some credit to the FA. I mean, they get a lot of stick, but I think by keeping it on terrestrial television and the audiences that we can pull, keeping England on terrestrial television, largely on terrestrial television, then I think they keep those very, very important competition and team in the public eye, and that we kind of take it for granted that Sky and to a lesser extent BT still less than 50% households in the country. And the way the energy bills are going up, that figure is going to come down rather than up. It's going to be a tough year for a lot of people, and subscription TV may be one of the first things to go. So this is a better stage for the if you like the product that the FA have, and I'm really, really pleased that just as with the Six Nations, they've kept it there for a free to air audience.
Yeah, absolutely. And finally, just wanted to say that we enjoyed having you on our screens during the Euros. You weren't on it enough, in my opinion. You must have seen the outpouring of love for you specifically your commentary duo with Ali McCoist and others. And, when certain other people are commentating, or maybe it's on another channel, there's a lot of tweets that I was witnessing saying, all I want is Clive Tyldesley's voice on this. That must be so nice to hear and see.
Do you know, I've not worked with Ali since last July.
Wow.
I mean, we're big mates. We're in contact a lot. Vanity aside, we seemed to go down well as a partnership. We've known each other for donkey's years. I obviously I don't make these decisions. I try to accept them as gracefully as I can. I know I'm 67 years of age, and I'm not going to be able to do this forever. I'm hopefully my own biggest critic. I still try to keep my standards at a level that I recognize. I try to limit myself to 3 games in a week. I scratch my head when I hear commentators working 5 nights out of 6, I just don't think you can make the game as special for the people that matter most if you're taking on that kind of workload. I understand. I'm a freelance myself now. I only get paid when I work. But I think there are certain standards that I value out there, probably the ones that were given to me by people like Reg Gutteridge and Brian Moore in my early years. I know things change all the time. I've got 4 kids in their 20s, so it's not like I'm detached from young thinking or indeed young media consumption. And it's part of my job and business to stay across that without ever trying to be down with the kids or anything stupid like that. So it's particularly heartening when I get messages from people who are clearly the south side of 30 years of age and still enjoying my work. And that kind of makes me happy and makes me a little annoyed, if the truth's told, because I think experience is a great value as long as you keep the blinkers off. And as long as you don't start to become one of those boring old uncles who thinks that any music that was made after 1980s rubbish, old movies or whatever. I am not one of those people. I like 2022 very much indeed. I've never been happier in my life. And those 4 kids are 4 of my best friends in the world. So I am, it's my duty as a parent to be in touch with the views of younger people. And I hope that that's reflected in the commentaries. I did actually make a note today to have a go at the rebranding of football. League 2 is not League 2. It's the 4th division, which is what it was 30 years ago. And 20 years ago, it became miraculously Division 3. Yeah. And then it was turned into League 2. Now, that is not old-fashioned for somebody to say that. So why did we do this? Try to explain the league pyramid system to a non-believer. Somebody who's no idea. I might just say that on Sunday, but part of me is also thinking if I say that, well, I sound like an old bugger who nobody cares about anymore. And I don't want to be seen as that. But I do think that sometimes if you've had experiences down the course of the year and you use them properly and relate them to the contemporary world in which I very, very happily live, then hopefully I'm still relevant enough to carry on working for a little while to come yet.
Well, you say League 2 now, and if you talk about your Division 2 from the past, you're thinking, okay, so was that when the divisions were Premier 1, 2, 3, or is that when it was Premier Championship 1, 2, 3?
Go back to 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
It would be so much easier.
The fall from 4 to 5 is no longer comes with the stigma or the end of the world that it once did. I mean, crikey, you've been down there. Quite apart from and having people knocking on the door asking where the bills are going to be paid not very long ago, you've been down there. It is possible to come all the way back up, even with a stadium which only holds 11,000 people. So, there is a strong argument at the moment for saying there should be more clubs promoted from the number 5 to number 4, because number 5 is so strong at the moment. But that's a different debate, not for an FA Cup weekend. But what isn't, I don't think, off the table are the thoughts of people who have actually been watching this game for a little while, as long as I say they don't yearn for muddy pitches and balls which weigh about 14 kilograms anymore. You know, as long as you accept that football today is probably faster, more skillful, more athletic, and more pleasing on the eye than it's ever been, and maybe it is, then I think your experience of what it was like and what it has been like is still of value in a commentary.
Yeah, I'm sure we could talk about many things, including why four teams get promoted. Why do 4 teams get promoted from League Two? Why is it not 3 like the rest of them? And all these different issues.
Because you've got turkeys voting for Christmas, I'm afraid. So
that's right. Clive, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it, and hope it all goes well on Sunday. What time does your day start?
Oh, well, my day started now, really, but I'll probably pop in to see Mum on the way. Mum lives down in St. Peter's Road, so it's a birthday the weekend after, so I'm back down for a birthday, which is actually on Valentine's Day, would you believe? But I will pop my head in and say hello. And I took her to see a different Liverpool match. She's a bit of a closet. A Reds fan, and I took her out for lunch the day Liverpool came down and arranged for Steven Gerrard to come and surprise her while we were having a bit of lunch. And he walked in. She's still got the photograph. She loves him far more than she loves me. I'm her only child, and so there's a framed photograph on that one of those big old fashioned hotels on West Cliff there. We went and had lunch there, and I arranged for him to come in and surprise her. So and then I took her to the game, and Liverpool definitely won because Max Fitzgerald, who's the big friend, who was the media officer now at Wolverhampton, was the media officer down there. He arranged for a couple of seats in the main stand, and she stood up and cheered when Liverpool scored. I was not quite able to do that anymore.
No, not really. It might have been the 4-0 when I remember Liverpool putting 4 past us once.
It might have been.
It wasn't a nice day.
It was an evening match, so maybe
an evening one.
But Liverpool won, so anyway. But yeah, I'll pop in to see Mum, and I'll be on the road. I don't know, 11 o'clock, something like that.
Well, we'll be looking forward to hearing your dulcet tones talking over a 3-0 Bournemouth win at the weekend when we watch the highlights.
Will it sell out? Will Bournemouth fill it or not?
I'm not too sure. I think they're going on the marketing drive, because when a person buys a ticket, they get a point, which could be useful for Premier League football next year. So that's the kind of slant they're going for. Yeah. But I think they're about 75% of the way there, so there are still tickets available.
Great!
I think Boreham Wood have sold out.
It needs to be for the cup. Then, I mean, when it's on terrestrial television, it is. That's one of the downsides. But hopefully fill it. So hopefully, if the victory is suitably good, you can listen when you go home.
Clive, thanks very much for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Take care. Good luck. Good luck with promotion.
Thank you. Amazing. Footballing god. Love the guy, and some of his iconic commentaries. Like I say, hope there are no famous quotes that will be bandied around after Sunday night's game. I don't think there will be. In terms of the squad news for this one, Scott Parker had his press conference yesterday. Lewis Cook, he's back in the squad. Chris Mepham has also returned to training as well, and we'll see about the weekend, so we'll find out what happens there. But Ethan Laird and Kiefer Moore will be unavailable for this one. Parker is going to see how the other 3 signings are, but Dembele is cup tied. In terms of back of the net, if you want a preview for this, then head over to Twitter on Sunday morning for a Twitter Spaces. That's a live audio chat where you can get involved. Make sure you check out the channel after full time. There will not be a free-for-all outside the stadium with fan chats, okay? But there will be a match review with myself and Tom, casually sitting over a J2O or whatever, and talking all things Cherries versus Boreham Wood. And you know what? I was thinking about Boreham Wood. Teams with Bs, we've not been too successful about. Blythe Spartans, that wasn't a good one. Season before, I think Barrow took us to a replay. Hopefully, this will be a better B. And who knows who we could get in the 5th round. So also, as I say, that's the review. And then on Monday night, we'll do a special second look / free-for-all show where you can take part, just like the good old days. Hop on to a StreamYard link and chat all things Cherries with us live on Monday night. Really looking forward to this one. Should be a good one. Let's get behind the boys. I was about to say, let's get 3 points. Let's get the W and let's get into the next round. Up the Cherries.